Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is TWiT.
Bandwidth for the Tech Guy is provided by Cachefly. CACHEFLY.com. Hi, this is Leo Laporte, and this is the video version of my Tech Guy podcast. These shows originally aired on the Premier Radio Networks on Saturday and Sunday, May 14th and 15th. You're about to see the best of episodes 769 and 770. Enjoy. Well, a good day to you. Leo Laporte here, the Tech Guy. And it's time, it's time for that show. Yeah, it's okay. I'm sure there's something better on another channel. Go ahead. Go ahead. I know. Leave me. I know. You don't want to hear about the latest in technology. You don't really care about cell phones or computers or the internet. That's okay. But if you do, if you like a little hand-holding on the information superhighway, if you'd like to know a little bit about this stuff that's changing our world, hey, this is the place. And by the way, your calls are more than welcome. They're what makes the show. So I invite you to go to 8888 Ask Leo. Phone that number. It's 888-827-5536. Toll free from anywhere in the U.S. Outside the U.S., we always get calls from around the world, which is wonderful. You can call that via Skype Out, the new Microsoft Skype Out. 888-827-5536. Easier to remember, 8888 Ask Leo. You'll find that at our website, too, techguylabs.com. Yeah, Microsoft bought Skype. Nobody can figure out why. For $8.5 billion. You shake your head. Now, these are coins that Bill Gates finds in the couch for him. This isn't, we're not talking something Microsoft can't afford, but it is a little high, don't you think? Everybody was shocked when Skype sold in 2005 to eBay for $1.7 billion. You know, it's funny. After all of the kind of criticism that Meg Whitman and eBay got for buying Skype for that outrageous amount of money, they made money. eBay sold 70% of its investment in Skype to a variety of investment firms last year, kind of getting out from under there. But they still retained 30%. 30% of $8.5 billion is more than $1.7 billion. Yes, indeed. They actually made some pretty good money. They made some bucks on that purchase. I say, $1 billion in 5 or 6 years. That's pretty good. I'll take it. Mark Andreessen, the guy who created Netscape, he made $500 million on the sale. So the question is, why, Microsoft? Why? And if you're a Microsoft stockholder, you might really be asking that question. They don't need it. They've already got something that does exactly the same thing in MSN Messenger. They have video. They have chatting. Some say, well, this way they gain, how many is it? How many customers does Skype have? It's almost 1 billion, isn't it? Something like that. So maybe it was for the customer base. Robert X. Cringely has an interesting theory, which I kind of subscribe to. The other suitors for Skype were Facebook and Google. Facebook dropped out pretty quick. They couldn't afford it. We got too rich. Google looked at it, thought about it. They had turned down an offer to buy Skype some years ago, and I think decided once again not to. But it scared according to Cringely, and I think he's right, the pants. Can you scare the pants off a company? It scared the pants off Microsoft. Because if Google gets Skype, it's all over in the telephone business, which I guess Microsoft wants to be in. They spend enough money to say they want to be in it. I think the best player in this, the one who could have used Skype, the problem is, Microsoft, I don't think they'll even use it. I think they'll just they'll take the customer base. Somebody in the chat room said, yeah, they're going to rename it Skype Live Messenger. Sorry, Skype Home Live Messenger. I think they just kill it. I think it goes away slowly. Maybe they leave it around, but it's not a big product. Google didn't need it either. They had Gizmo and other products, simpler, easier. They have Google Talk. It's about the customer base. But Facebook could have really used it. Imagine. In fact, I would like to have seen this. A button next to Facebook's chat that says, "Oh, you want video too?" I mean, it's what they needed. But they couldn't afford it. The bidding got so high, so rich, so fast that Facebook just had to bow out. I think maybe they're hoping their buddies, their good pals at Microsoft might help them out. Microsoft, did you know Microsoft owns part of Facebook? Maybe they would lay some Skype love on Facebook. I don't know. Microsoft paid $14.70 per user for Skype. But when eBay bought Skype in 2005, they paid $45 a user. So it's a good deal. If you use Skype, you're worth $14.70 to Microsoft. $14.70. That's kind of, Microsoft put quite a bit of money into Facebook. When they bought into Facebook, Facebook had 100 million users. So they paid $150 per user to get Facebook. So Skype, $14, $15 per user. That's a good deal. How long will it take Microsoft to make $8.5 billion? About 4 months. Still, that's 4 months. That I don't know. 4 months. It's like buying a wedding ring, right? They say you should invest 3 months' salary into a wedding ring. There you go, or an engagement ring. I think that's an interesting play. I really do hope they let Facebook use it. Now, I'm not really a big fan of Facebook these days. Did you hear? There are a couple of big stories that we will talk a lot about today in Facebook. There's one that's getting all the press. And frankly, I don't know why the press is so interested in this. Apparently, Facebook hired a very well-known PR firm, Burstyn Marsteller, to spread dirt about Google, to place articles on blogs saying bad things about Google and privacy. I think, essentially, not to really slam Google so much as to distract people from the privacy issues at Facebook. Oh, Google's worse. And they got caught. So, that's kind of embarrassing. They put articles on blogs that hadn't been up for years. They paid bloggers. They tried to pay one blogger. This is how they got caught. The blogger said, what? And went public with it. So this was inevitable. They were going to get caught. It was just dumb. Whoever thought this up at Facebook, dumb. And that's getting all the press. And you know what? Too bad, because that's not as important a story to you and me as the fact that Facebook has been leaking our private information to just about anybody through applications for years. Everything that's on your Facebook page for years. So it's kind of complicated, but basically what happened is if you install an application on Facebook, and look in your Facebook settings, you'll see you probably have hundreds installed. I do. Anytime you say to a web application or an iPhone app, yeah, it's okay to use Facebook, that in effect is installing an application on Facebook. That application has access to all your Facebook data, but accidentally, by sharing a link to your data with other people, that application can leak out the token that allows those other people, those third parties, to get to your Facebook page and see everything that's on there. Basically opens up your page, regardless of privacy settings, to anybody who gets this link. Now, Facebook says, well, we're not going to do it that way anymore. We're going to fix that, and we have no evidence that it happened. And, by the way, it would be against the terms of service. Oh, that's good. That'll protect you. It's against our terms of service to do that. The only way to fix this, by the way, there may be people out there who have your token still, whether inadvertently or intentionally collected. The only way to fix this is to change your Facebook password. So not a bad idea to do that regularly anyway. It might be a good time to change your Facebook password. But I wish that Facebook were saying more about this, that the so-called independent media were saying more about this. That's more important than whether Facebook hired a PR firm to slime Google. All your Facebook information being leaked out for years? That seems to be more important to me. 8888 Ask Leo. There's so much to talk about. We have Google has some big announcements like their Google Music that happened this week. We'll talk about that and a whole lot more. Apple and Google will be going to Congress to testify about privacy. I think privacy is going to be a big topic, isn't it? 8888 Ask Leo. Let's talk about that and anything else on your mind. I am Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy.
limousine, smiling next to Oprah and the Queen.
Well, all you have to do is invent a voice-over internet service, sell it to eBay, then sell it to Microsoft. The guys who created Skype, I don't know how much they finally got, but it was more than $1 billion. They did all right. And of course that just fuels the gold rush mentality in Silicon Valley. And people just go crazy, you know. Oh, I've got an idea. I mean, it's funny. People sometimes wonder, are we in a bubble these days? Oh, I should say hello, Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Just so in case you just tuned in, are we in a bubble these days? But with the value of these internet companies that make no money just through the roof, and it's hard to say. You know, we're not in the kind of bubble that we were in 1999 when all these big stock offerings were going off. That was the bubble when stock valuations went through the roof. Most of these companies are not publicly held. You can't buy stock in Facebook unless you know somebody, right? So how can you say it's a bubble? I don't know. 8888 Ask Leo. What do you think? I don't give stock advice. In fact, because I cover the industry, I recuse myself from owning stocks in the tech sector. Because I don't want to have there be any suspicion that I'm saying good or bad things about a company because I do or do not own their stock. So I own no stock, and you know what? I'm glad because it's crazy. I couldn't predict how something's going to do. I mean, it's beyond my ken. Doesn't make any sense to me. Let's get to our first call from Dartmouth. Angela, Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Angela.
Hey, Leo. How's it going?
Wonderful. Dartmouth, where?
Nova Scotia.
Oh, our Nova Scotian. How are you?
I was wondering, a while back you answered this for another fellow, and I don't remember quite all the advice you gave him about it. My friend's got a Facebook page, and she's let it kind of get out of hand in a way that, like she's a local country singer in town here, and she's got fans and friends and family all
mixed and intermixed. Yeah.
Yeah, and she wants to separate it, but she was wondering if she could change her profile, what was her personal page into a fan page, or will she have to close it down and kind of just start over?
You can do it. First of all, she should create the fan page now.
But she's done that.
She's got the fan page, okay. And after you get, I think it's 20 or 30 likes on that fan page, then you can go to facebook.com/username and pick a good username. Preferably her name or an act or whatever, because that's the one you want to make it easy for people to find. So, for instance, I couldn't get Leo Laporte, so I am facebook.com/the Leo Laporte. And so if you go there, you won't get my personal page. I made the same mistake. And what happens is the personal page on Facebook is limited to 5,000 friends. So you hit that, and two things happen. First of all, you can't have any more. And the second thing that happens is you can't really use Facebook because it's no longer a personal page. It's a public page.
Yeah, that's what she realized. She gets a little too friendly, and she realized that it's just because they ask, she agrees, and she realized she was saying to me last night. She's like, "How do I separate this all out?" Because she was thinking, could she change her? She was thinking she could easily change the page that she's got into a fan page.
If you know somebody at Facebook, I know people who've done this. Kevin Rose, who founded Dig.com, did this. We all made the same mistake because in the early days of Facebook, there wasn't a fan page or a business page. Those things didn't exist. So there is a tool that Facebook has that you can move people over, but you have to know somebody. I don't think they just offer that. So what I would suggest you do is she put up a status post on her page saying, "Man, I'm having so much fun connecting with my fans on my fan page or my business page. Please like it." Because that's nowadays all you have to do to get to people to join that page is they press the like button, right? Mm-hmm. So that will move them over to the like page. Then in a week or two, after your fans are starting to join the other page, you might put a notice on your status page, "Hey, I've decided to make this page be my personal page. Please like my other page and I'll continue to post updates there, and then slowly unfriend people you don't know. It might take a little while. How many friends does she have on that page?
Oh, she's got a couple hundred.
Oh, that won't take that long. That's not as bad as 5,000.
No, she really got carried away, and I thought this, like you said about. I was telling her about putting a kind of like a post on her personal page.
People will understand that, saying, "Oh, I screwed up. I made this personal page be my, my business page, and I would prefer to have you go over there. But there's ways to do it, kind of, gently move people over there.
Yeah, she's not very techy, so she was like looking for the easiest way to get her done. She's really not tech savvy at all.
Yeah, I would ask people to like your fan page. That's all. And as people who do use these automated tool that Facebook came up with really kind of angered people because it automatically moves them over to the fan page and kills them on your personal page. And I don't know if that's the best thing to do anyway. If it's just a few hundred people, do it by hand. And if you're starting a page for your business, this is a good lesson. It does have to be tied to an existing Facebook account. So you are going to create a Facebook account. It can be your personal account. That's fine. But don't publicize that personal page. Don't friend people I think in general on Facebook, it's best to friend people you know. Like in real life.
Yeah, she kind of got carried away. She knows people that are her friends, so she doesn't want to hurt nobody's feelings.
It's very hard because it really, now they changed the button. It used to be, I can't remember what it used to be, reject or something. Now it's ignore. But even then, that's harsh. Somebody says, hey, I'd like to be your friend. Ignore them. Is that what it says? Or is it says defer it? It says it's a little harsh still. So
yeah, have something a little more like a little more of a separation between yes and no. Yeah.
What does it say now? I think it used to say ignore, right? That's really rude. Now it says not now.
Oh, I didn't know.
Yeah, so they changed friend requests. You have a button that says confirm or not now. That's a little, it's just as harsh. It's the same exact result as saying ignore.
But a little more polite.
But it's a little more, well, it's for you because they don't know. All that happens is nothing for the people who request. Look at this stinks. This is a stinky system. I have to say, I wish I deleted my Facebook account once about a year ago. And it was so satisfying. But I can't, in good conscience, talk about Facebook if I don't use it a little bit. It's a challenge for me because I really don't want to use it. I don't trust them. We know that everything you post on Facebook now will leak out. You cannot control it. Yeah, they'll fix this hole. They say they have, but there's going to be another one. You should always, and tell kids this, always assume that anything you post on Facebook, even though there's the promise of privacy, is ultimately not private. Think of it as anything you put on the internet. Even if you think you're putting it in a private space, assume it will leak out. So I tell kids all the time, don't put anything there that you wouldn't want your parents, your friends, your teachers, your future employers to see, the FBI. If it's on the internet, they will see it. I wish there was something we could do about Facebook, but we just have to live with it. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Angela, I hope you're still listening. I hope your friend, the country artist, is listening. And I thank our friends in the chat room who pointed me to, this is one of the reasons I have to keep a Facebook account, to understand how this stuff works. Facebook has, in fact, got a way to convert a profile into a page. A couple of ways you could find this information. Not obvious. You can go to the Facebook Help Center. So if you go to your Facebook account and you, under the account menu on the right, far right, you select Help Center, and then type in, what can we help you with? And type in convert a page. I've tried a number of things, and convert a page seems to give you the result. And enter search, and you'll, convert to a page. See, now that didn't work. Their search is terrible. Maybe if you Google it. Yeah, Googling it will probably work. Anyway, there is, I'll give you the URL. It's long. We'll put it in the show notes, too, at techguylabs.com. Facebook.com/pages/create.php !migrate. But it, It is a tool that says profile to business page migration, and then you pick what kind of a page you are. Local business, company, brand or product, artist, band, or public figure. That's what, Angela, that's what your friend, the country singer, probably to use. Entertainment, cause, or community. And you press that button, and what it does is says, at this time, only your profile photo and friends, and that's what you wanted to do, will be moved to your new page. No other content will be moved. You will still be able to log in from your original email address and password. I would click Learn More because this may have side effects she doesn't like. And again, it's not as friendly, perhaps, as doing it manually. So what I would still do, even knowing that this tool exists, is I would first say, in a status update on your page, hey, I want to make this page be a personal private page and move everybody to my fan page. Please like this, and it'll move you over and do that. And then maybe a week later, do it again and say, hey, next week I'm going to move everybody else who hasn't been moved. The problem is not only will your fans be moved, your friends, everybody's going to be moved. So I would look carefully and see if this is exactly what you want. It might still be better to do it manually. But there is a tool, a migration tool, available from Facebook. Who knew, right? This is some of this is just the nature of a very successful site. This is part of Facebook's problem is they have 700 million users. They have a huge, complex system, very complex. I mean, privacy settings alone, hundreds of them. And so, you know, there's stuff in here that you'd have to be a Facebook expert to know. And they change it all the time, so you'd have to kind of constantly be looking for this. So there you go. Thank you, Angela. And Perry in Lompoc, California, Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hello. How are you, Leo?
I'm well, Perry. Thank you for calling.
Thank you. I have a question about my HD TV, and what it is that I notice sometimes the signal gets really bad and fuzzy, especially on demand, especially like the science channels, you know, Discovery, History Channel, etc., where you will have a person who has some shimmering in their hair, and it over shimmers.
Right.
You know?
What you're seeing is digital artifacting. Now, the thing that's a little different nowadays is that we don't really, most of the time, have analog channels. I would guess by now that. Are you on cable or satellite?
I'm on cable.
Yeah. Satellite has no analog channels, but cable still had some analog channels until recently. But almost all of cable is digital, which means it's highly compressed and sent to you instead of in analog waveform, but in packets. That means it either works or doesn't work. You know, that's one nice thing. Analog degrades a little bit. So that's what, remember, on the old TV sets, you'd see ghosting or snow. That was an analog signal that was imperfect. And so you'd still have a picture, you just wouldn't have a great picture. Digital, it works or not. However, it sounds like those science channels are being over compressed. Now, this could either be the channel itself, but much more likely is your cable company. And when it's really compressed, you start to see what we call digital artifacting, exactly what you just described, shimmering in hair, strange kind of blurry effect. It's hard to describe it. When you see it, you know it. Sometimes it's a blockiness. You know what you should look at is solid colors, especially black, like a black night sky, and see if you see blocks. When it's a solid color, the compression algorithm takes chunks at a time, and what you get is, instead of a smooth color, is you'll get a blocky color, and that's where you really see it. You'll even see that sometimes on DVDs and Blu-ray, and certainly on streaming video from Netflix and things like that. So if you're seeing that, that's what's going on.
Yeah, you know, I also wondered too. You talked more than a year ago with the HD gentleman that comes on later.
Scott Wilkinson will be on tomorrow. Yeah.
Yeah, and you talked about the importance of the HDMI cables.
Yeah, I mean, there's companies like Monster that will sell you $150 HDMI cables. I have not seen any demonstration that these are better, certainly on normal lengths. I guess if you get really long, it could make a difference. But anything up to, say, 15 feet, a cheap cable is exactly as good as an expensive cable.
Ah, I see.
I mean, if you can, this could be created by a bad cable. If it's a loose connection, but again, digital usually works or not. So typically, if you're seeing artifacting, that is because the cable company is over compressing it, recompressing it. So I would contact your cable company and complain.
Okay.
They may actually roll a truck out and give you a new box, because that could be something going on with the box.
Yeah. We can also drive down just a couple miles here and go to their office here and get a new one.
They know what's going on. They're over compressing it. Who's your cable company?
Because you know what, Leo? The Blu-ray player never ever does that.
No. Guess what? It has a lot more bandwidth, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So cable companies, in order to get 500 or whatever it is channels you've got on that copper, because that's what they've got, that's why they went digital. They compress and they digitize, and you can get much more data on that copper. What they'll do is they'll look at channels that are less popular, and they'll compress them more because they don't want the complaints. You won't see ESPN compressed as heavily.
I see.
So that's what you should do is check ESPN or your local networks, HBO. Check a premium channel. See how that looks. If that looks fine and science channels look bad, well, guess what?
Yeah. But you know what? I was watching Dr. Phil yesterday afternoon.
Well, his hair always looks a little weird. No, I'm just kidding. But there is of it.
Yeah, and it's amazing how you could see, the bald part of his head. You could see that there's makeup on there and everything else.
It's amazing, HD. I know. I feel so bad for television personalities because, when I do Regis and Kelly, they went HD early on, and Kelly actually did a sitcom that had HD. And Kelly's amazing. She is, for somebody so beautiful, she is so not vain. I'm amazed. But they did, for a while, use airbrushes for the makeup. So you'd go in. You've seen them airbrush T-shirts. It's got a compressor, and they got the airbrush, and they'd spray paint your face. They said, close your eyes. And the reason they did that is because it gives you a much smoother effect. You don't see the powder. But in HD, with a normal makeup, you can see little dots of powder. You can see streaks. You can see all sorts of stuff you don't want to see.
But his signal, though, yesterday afternoon, and this is one of the first times I watched him in a while.
It's okay. You don't have to apologize.
Mail order brides from Russia. It was really good. But one of the mail order brides was on there, and she had shimmering hair. And
so you were seeing that artifacting even with Dr. Phil?
Oh, no. It looked perfect.
Yeah, that's because they don't compress Phil. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. As always, Kyle picking great music. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888 Ask Leo, that's the phone number. Can I give a personal plug? Is that allowed? I don't usually do those. But I thought, all right, I'm going to do it. I don't know. If I get in trouble, I'll pay the fine. I don't know. Is there a fine? I don't know. I hear everybody else doing personal plugs. Howard Stern does personal plugs. Don Imus sold bricks, didn't he? So we're building a new studio for the Tech Guy Labs, and it really is mostly about the podcast network, which is called TWiT. In fact, the new studio is called the TWiT Brick House, because it's a beautiful brick building down the road, about 10,000 square feet. I'm really excited about it. It'll be not just for this radio show, but for several dozen other shows that we do, including on Friday nights. I'm so excited. We're going to do a LAN party. So people will be able to come to we'll have enough room. They can get on a computer. They can play against each other in the TWiT Brick House, but also against other people online. Things like that. It'll be fun. And we were setting up a wall in the entranceway for people to put their own bricks up there. You could buy a brick, $128. You could buy a brick, put your name on it, your Twitter handle, your Facebook page, whatever you want, and it'll be kind of the wall of honor of people who have helped support it, because it's expensive, frankly. I got the idea from the Fenway Park and AT&T Park here in San Francisco. That they have these gardens or whatever, and people buy bricks, and it's kind of cool. So we are doing that, and you can find out more about that by going to bricks BRICKS.TWIT.TV, bricks.twit.tv if you'd like to get one. But it's not really for. I hesitate to plug it on the radio show because it's really more for the people who listen to the super geeky podcasts. It's more for you guys. And by the way, Angie is in our chat room and says she got the information. She was going to get the information to her country singer friend. So that's great. We do have a great chat room. You can find that at the website, techguylabs.com. techguylabs.com. Chat room is linked there. The video, audio versions of the show you can download after the fact. There's even a video version you can download now of the show after the fact. And, of course, the notes that James DeRuvo writes down with links to everything I talk about, including that Facebook migration page, which is a ridiculously long URL. So we'll just put it in the show notes. techguylabs.com. Richard's in Redondo Beach, California. Our next caller. Hi, Richard. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Oh, great. How are you doing?
I'm well. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, I'm watching you right now. I like the Aloha shirt you had on a couple weeks ago.
Sometimes I'm famous kind of for those shirts, but sometimes I just like to calm down. I'm just wearing a simple purple shirt.
My wife just walked behind me. She's kind of ticked off because I'm sitting watching you on her iMac that I bought.
Hey, how does she like it? Are you happy with it?
Oh, I hate to say it, but she's addicted to that Farmville.
Oh no! Did you see that Lady Gaga is going to release her new album in Farmville? They're calling it Gagaville.
Right, it's amazing. I don't want to get involved because I might get addicted to it.
Stay away. Stay away. I had to actually there should be a 12-step program for these farming games. I was playing one on the iPad called We Rule, and I realized after I probably spent a few $100 on this thing. Because it's free. The programs are free. Farmville's free, but they say, but if you want your farm to grow faster, you could buy this special doohickey, and the doohickeys add up after a while. I don't even want to look at what So I finally I went cold turkey, and I was shaking for a few days. I would get up in the morning and say, what about my cauliflower? I haven't harvested. Oh yeah, that's right. I don't need to anymore. Terrible.
Well, I bought her an egg timer, the old-fashioned kind that you have to turn the dial in.
You're like my wife. My wife, like she says, she doesn't say it anymore, but I would be sitting at the breakfast table farming. She said, "What are you doing?" I said, "Farming." She said, "Why are you spending so much time farming?" I said, "It's relaxing. I think of it as like a hobby. It's like knitting." She said, "If you were knitting, we'd have socks. We got nothing. Stop farming. Go out in the garden. We have some actual garden you can work in." No, that would get my hands dirty. I just want to sit.
It's amazing. But she keeps in contact with my brother back in Maine, and
yeah, I mean that's how they get you because, and this is brilliant. I've heard a number of people talk about the psychology of this. The people who do Farmville, Zynga, Z-Y-N-G-A, they're a very successful company, and one of the secrets is it's a game of social compulsion, because what happens is you could play it, maybe you could stop like I did. But the problem is you have all these friends that you have these deals with, like you'll clean their farm if they clean your farm, and they get mad at you. They say, you can't quit.
That's right.
So you're stuck.
That's right.
Even if you wanted to stop.
That's right.
It's horrible. I mean, we're laughing, but if you think about it, it's kind of creepy. These guys have figured out a way to really brainwash us.
We can be doing anything. And she'll say, "Oh, I've got to check my crops." Or something.
Yes. That's the other way they work, by the way. My friend Cory Doctorow observed this. He said they figured out a way to get you always thinking about the game because you have to check because your crops go bad if you don't harvest them.
That's right. That's it.
So you're always thinking about it. It is a brain worm. It should be illegal. I mean, obviously it's not. It can't. But it's. Oh.
Yeah. By the way, she just passed behind me, and she said, "You look just as young as you did on Tech TV."
I actually look younger. I have a big portrait in the closet that's getting just horrible.
Yeah, so wave hello to Joni.
Hi, Joni. How are ya? Joni and Richard, everybody. Now, Richard, we got to take a break, but I want to. When I come back, you want to buy a laptop for your granddaughter, and I think that's very sweet.
Right.
And I'll help you do that in a second, okay? All right, plug done, Richard. I can come back. I can come back to you, and talk about a laptop. So your granddaughter's going to college?
Yeah, nursing at Bakersfield,
That's
Cal State,
fantastic.
CSU.
And you're right. You cannot nowadays go to college without a laptop.
No, we're all chipping in for it, and the two that I had in mind is either a Dell or Lenovo. Costco has a Lenovo, and I guess they changed it from the it used to be the IBM ThinkPad.
Yeah, Lenovo makes the ThinkPads. They bought it from IBM. They're very good. They're solid. They have among the best keyboards. I would say unequivocally the best laptop keyboards out there. Do you want? Does she now? You have to ask her some questions. Is it going to be a surprise?
No.
A couple of things I would do. I would check first with the college to see if there's discounts at the college. Often the college bookstore has a deal.
Oh.
I would also check with the college to find out if they have a Windows or Mac preference. Nowadays, I don't think anybody does, but it's worth checking. But she'll know. If she's going into nursing, and maybe there are a bunch of applications she needs that run only on Windows or whatever, so she'll know what she needs. Ask her about weight. If she's going to carry that to class, then a thin and light is a better idea than a thicker, heavier notebook. On the other hand, if it's going to be kind of her desktop computer in her dorm room and only there, then you might want more power. You might not want to worry about battery life so much, you see. But I do think, in general, the two you've just said, Dell and Lenovo, are excellent for Windows laptops. They are, in fact, the two companies I'd recommend.
The main problem, though, is support.
Okay, hang on, because that's a big, big problem. And there's actually a better answer for support. Stay tuned. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Well, a good day to you, Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. We are talking the computers, the internet, cell phones, camcorders, MP3 players, home theater, and all that jazz at 8888 Ask Leo. That's my phone number. This is episode 769 in a continuing saga. You'll find all of our show notes, the phone number, the chat room, links to past shows, all at techguylabs.com. That's the website, techguylabs.com. We're talking about buying a laptop. Our last caller had a granddaughter going to college. They're going to all chip in and get a laptop. That's great. Of course, always check with the recipient. They may have some strong interests or prejudices or desires. The biggest choice, Mac versus Windows. He said support is going to be an issue. Unfortunately, he's gone. I don't know what he means by support. Does he mean easy return? If you do buy it from a big box store, Costco, for instance, I am told, I've asked the chat room off air, and they say that, yeah, returns are very easy. Costco typically will extend the warranty. If you buy with an American Express card, you'll get another extra year. So as far as returns go, the big box stores tend to be very good. The support, however, is handled by the company. If you buy a Lenovo, by Lenovo. And I hear differing reports on how good Lenovo support is. Certainly, Lenovo's business-grade support is very good. But you pay for that. And I think in general, this is what's happened. One of the ways that laptop and computer manufacturers have got the price down on PCs, and they are really, really cheap, is by unbundling support. You get very bad or rudimentary support for the base price. If you want better support, you pay for it, either by call or by buying a support subscription. Dell, Lenovo, and others all do this. It's fine if you don't need support because you're not paying for it. But if you need support, it might not be the best thing. It's one of the reasons Apples do cost more, Macintosh computers. If you go to the Mac store and buy a computer there at the Apple store, you'll get great support, because they're bundling the cost of support into the price of the computer, among other things. You're also paying for brand recognition. I think a lot of students, in fact, this would be my recommendation, to get like the super light notebooks. The big box stores may not have the latest, greatest. They may, in fact, only have, I'm told, maybe a year-old version of the Lenovo. So it might be in your interest to go to Lenovo's page directly and see what's there. There might be something better. The X220, for instance, which I really like, is a super thin and light Lenovo. I think the MacBook Air is great, although I think a new Air is coming that's even more powerful. MacBook Air right now has kind of a slow processor. I find it adequate, but some might not. She's a nursing student. You should find out what program she needs to run, and maybe she has to have a Windows computer because the programs she's expected to run are Windows only. That's worth checking into. Sometimes it goes the other way. but not usually. Sometimes they're Mac only. I do think thin and light is a great solution for a student. In most cases, it's got more than enough power. It'll have in some cases, better battery life. And, of course, it's much more portable. So it's great for taking to class, taking to the library, taking to the coffee shop and getting work done. And for students, I think that's pretty important. And there's some great thin and lights. Dell just announced a new thin and light to succeed. It's a Damo line that looks beautiful. It's not out yet, but it looks really sweet. So anyway, there's some tips. I don't know if I've cut through the confusion there, but there's some things to look for. Ronald, Long Beach, California. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Ronald.
Hi, Leo. How are you, sir?
Very good. Welcome to the show.
Oh, I'm glad to finally get through. In any event, I have a problem that I just discovered when I bought an HTC Evo phone. And that problem is I wrote a resume in a Word 95 document. And I cannot open it in my Evo phone.
What? You can't open a word processing document created with a program that's 16 years old on your phone? I don't understand it.
I don't either.
Here's what you do. Don't save it as a doc file. Save it as an RTF file or as a PDF. Save it in a format that's more compatible. The problem with Word is that it's a proprietary format. And now you can buy, for Android, you can buy programs, applications that will allow you to open Word documents.
But let me ask you this, Leo, is I don't want to rewrite the resume. It's like 4 pages. Is there any converter that I can
No, you don't have to
use?
rewrite it. Just save it in Office 95 in a different format. Save it as RTF.
Okay, can you explain,
Yeah, if you go to Save As in your word processor, not Save, because that's just going to continue to save it over on top of the original one. Save As, and then there'll be in that Save As dialog box towards the bottom there'll be a choice of formats, and you click the format. It's .doc right now, and you'll see RTF. You'll see other formats. RTF is kind of a standard format. It stands for Rich Text Format. And it will keep most of the formatting. It'll be easier for other word processors to open. You don't have to retype it. It's a great thing, by the way, to convert it to PDF. In fact, I would not recommend sending a resume out as a doc file, as a Word file, because you may have your future employer may have the same problem. Almost always, if you're sending an electronic resume, you want to send it in a format called PDF, Portable Document Format. Now, unfortunately, Office 95 doesn't have PDF capability. So there are a couple of things you can do. Microsoft does offer a print to PDF extension for Office 95 that's free. You can download it. If you just search for Microsoft Office Print to PDF, you can find that on the Microsoft site. There are free programs that will do this. Cute PDF is a great one. Foxit makes one. There's one called PDF Creator that we've recommended before that's open source. That's probably the one I'd get. That'll allow you to, in effect, print the resume. But instead of choosing a printer, you'll choose PDF, and it'll save it as a file. That'll work on your phone. It'll work for everybody. And most importantly, that's the one you should attach to the email when you send it out. You should never send out a doc file to anybody. I see it happen all the time. In fact, I find it very frustrating. I'll get doc files or .xls, Microsoft Excel spreadsheet files, and that's a pretty big assumption. You're assuming that the recruiter or the future employer has Microsoft Office, that they feel safe opening an Office document. Frankly, that's not a safe thing to do. Much safer, much, much safer to send them a PDF. And I think a great solution. And by the way, then they can't change it. Which I don't think that's going to be a problem, but PDF is kind of locks it down and keeps people from modifying it. It's kind of, this is the document, this is as it is. And your phone will have no trouble with it. Stephanie, Boston, Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hi.
Hi, Stephanie. Welcome. Yeah, good to see you. What can I do for you?
I am a brand new ebook author, and I was wondering if you had any tips or advice on kind of publicity and marketing for me. So far, I
How
have
exciting!
Like,
What's your ebook?
my ebook is running with. The name of the ebook is called Running from Secrets, and I actually have a couple of others that I'm working on, but so far, that's the only one. And I write.
Are you selling it on Amazon?
Yes, I'm selling it on Amazon. I have recently just done a print version through CreateSpace. I'm selling it on the Nook. I eventually want to get it on iBooks, but they have some issues with ISBN. Like you have to buy an ISBN and everything, and I'm still working on that.
I think this is good. I'm already seeing. I searched for Running from Secrets. Google immediately suggested your name, which is excellent. I see that it's on Goodreads. You're an author on Goodreads. That's a very good idea. That's a social site for readers. That's a very good start. Let's talk some more about this. I think you've done many things right, including calling a radio show and plugging it. We'll talk some more. Stay on the line. We'll talk some more after the news. Leo Laporte, or after the break. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Got the website. This is 8888 Ask Leo. That's the phone number if you have a question, a comment, a suggestion. You want to talk high tech. Stephanie's on the line. She's an author. I love this, Stephanie. Is this your first book?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah. Is this your first book?
Well, it's the first book I'm publishing. I've been writing since I was a teenager, but the very first book I wrote, I decided not to publish. That was
well. You've obviously been doing your research because you've done all of the things that these days I would recommend. For instance, you've chosen CreateSpace, which is Amazon's print-on-demand service. So you have an ebook, but now you also have a print version. You can buy the book on Amazon because you're working with Amazon. They help you with some things. You've got a Facebook page. You're on Goodreads. You're on Shelfari. Those are two of the big social networks for readers. Now the thing is you've got the website stephanievoid.com, STEPHANIEVOID.com. Is the book fiction or nonfiction?
Oh, it's fiction.
And is it young adult?
Yeah, this one is.
Yeah.
Although I probably write adult and young adult.
Well, the reason I ask is when you're publicizing a book, you want to go to, or anything, and I'm going to generalize my advice to you, but I have to say you've done this. It's a beautiful page. You've done everything exactly right.
Thank you.
Well, and it figures because you're the younger generation that understands the internet. So this isn't a foreign language to you, but people my age want to do this. It's kind of, where do I begin? But you obviously understand Facebook and Twitter and Goodreads and all that stuff. But I'll give you some general advice that everybody should consider, which is figure out where your audience is, your potential audience, who's going to read this book, and go to where they are. So where do Facebook is a good start. Where do young adults hang out? Do readings at bookstores or schools. What you have to do is, some have said that to start a movement. And this is what you want to do. You want to go viral. Because, I see, for instance, you have the Facebook page, but only 49 people have liked it. You want to get 490,000 people liking it, right? So how do you get from 49 to 400,000? Well, it turns out it's the first 1,000 that matter. So that's a little easier target, 1,000 than 400,000. So let's go for that first 1,000. And what happens is, if you've got a good book, and I'm sure you do, you've got a good product, you've got a good blog or a good record or whatever it is that you're trying to sell, you get those first 1,000, they will then get you to the next level. It's all word of mouth ultimately. So how do we get the first 1,000? That'll make it easier for you to, first of all, to attack, because it's a little harder to say, I'll get the first 1,000,000. No. First 1,000 is all you need. And I think you're doing all those things. I mean, sometimes you have to give things away to get people interested in you. That means perhaps doing some speaking, going to schools, bringing your book, things like that. You don't have to get a lot of people, but if you think in terms of 1,000, and you know that every time you speak at a school, 12 kids will read your book and love it. It doesn't take too long to get to 1,000, does it?
That's very true.
Yeah. That's much easier if you think that way. And I think you're smart because this is your first book. This book is the first brick in the wall. You're doing, this is, but if you start now, a lot of people say, I want to go viral right away, first thing. And most overnight successes take years. So
I've been working on this for a really long time.
Of course you have. And you're young and you're still, working on it. But boy, you've got a great start. I'm very impressed by the page. You've got the Amazon, but you're selling it on Amazon. That's fantastic. The Amazon allows author blogs. You're going to be doing a lot of work from day one. But remember, each person that you win over, each person who reads your book and likes it, is spreading the word for you. Do you have a Twitter account?
Yes, I do.
Yep. Stephanie Void. Okay. Think about. By the way, I don't know if that's your real name, but that's a great name.
Oh no, it's not my real name.
Yeah.
My real name.
You don't have to say your real. Don't say your real name on the air. But I think it's good that you didn't use your real name. You used a memorable name.
Okay.
Smart. People are going to remember Void. Right? That's probably why you changed it. Yeah. I mean, it's also for privacy and other things. I think that's a good idea. I think this is all. You obviously have kind of an innate knack for marketing. It's harder, because you're doing it all yourself. But I could tell you right now, I was talking to this morning. I talked to a very well-known radio personality, on one of our stations, and he said he has a great radio voice. He said, "Leo, I heard you talking about Create Space. Tell me, I want to publish a book." Now he's old school. And so he has to learn all this stuff that innately, Stephanie, because you and your friends have been doing this since you were a kid. But he'll learn it. He has an advantage because he's got a name for himself. He could plug it on his radio show.
One thing that has been helping me, and in case there's anybody listening who's also trying to be an online author, there are lots and lots of people out there who are book bloggers who do nothing but read books and put up reviews of them.
Perfect. Amazon has a program like that, too, for people who review Amazon books, where you send a few free copies to these people to get their reviews on your Amazon page.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, you should inquire about the Amazon Reviewers program. Because all of that helps, right? And as I said, sometimes you have to give it away to get it started. This is especially true for performing artists, musicians, and so forth. Selling, you can't expect to sell your music for a lot of money right off the bat. Sometimes you have to give it away at first. But you're building. Remember that what's changed is we used to think of this as kind of building an audience or building customers. And now we think of it as building community. And boy, I'll tell you, a community will get you a lot farther in the long run than customers. Don't think of building new customers for your business. Think of building a community around what you do. People who love what you do, who are fans, who say, "This is great. I want to tell other people about it." Those people are so much more valuable than just a customer. Or a reader, right? The book bloggers, the good people on Goodreads and Shelfari who will say, "Hey, you got to read this Stephanie Void book. It's amazing." All of that, you've made it easy for them to get. You've got the blog, you've got the Amazon, you've made it easy for them to get. Now your job is, as you figured out, marketing is getting them to know about it. But I think you've got a pretty good handle on this. And folks, if you want to know more, Stephanie Void, STEPHANIVOID.com is her website. That is the first thing, isn't it? Get the darn website. When I see an author doesn't have a website for the book, I think, what are you thinking? What are you thinking? But you've done everything right. You've got the like buttons. You're going to tweet. Now, sometimes with Twitter, you don't have very many followers to begin with. You got to start putting stuff on your Twitter account that would be of interest to your community. You're building community with Twitter, right? So maybe links to books you like, insights on how to write. Maybe as you learn this process in marketing it, what you learn there. Get people to follow you, and they'll follow you because you're saying things that are interesting to them that they learn from.
Okay. It's a good idea.
You got to give back. You build community by putting it out there and giving back, and then they'll give to you. Cast your bread upon the waters. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Good luck, Stephanie. Great book. I think this is exciting. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Waning minutes of the Tech Guy show. Wow, we're selling bricks fast. I'm kind of surprised. This is exciting. Dick DiBartolo is on the line. He is the GizWiz. Dick DiBartolo, you might know that name as Mad Magazine's maddest writer, but he's also a gadget hound, and he's been a big fan of gadgets for decades and joins us every week at this time. Have you bought a brick yet, Dick?
No, but Myra is mixing sand now. And
you know, a number of people said, oh, I won't buy a brick. I'll send you one. And I think that I don't think they understand fully the point of this. This is a fundraiser. This is not, we have bricks. We don't need bricks.
Oh,
it's not like
it's a money-making scheme.
Profit deal.
Oh, I get it now.
We're going to have the entryway to the new studios is going to be bricked with commemorative bricks, and people are buying them. It's a fundraiser, and I'm not a nonprofit. I hope you don't think it's tax deductible, but we'll get you a brick, Dick. I'll only charge you twice the normal rate.
Oh, okay, very good. I will be offering 3x5 index cards that will go on my apartment door, but that'll be after your fundraiser.
That's a good idea. Yeah. Get an index card. So, Dick, what's your gadget of the week this week?
A neat little gadget from Verilux, and I checked just before we started talking to make sure that they're still offering this. It's a rechargeable travel lamp. Now, Verilux, they're famous. They do natural spectrum lighting so that it's more like daylight. And back in the days when I was sad, that was before the Daily Giz was. I was a sad.
Now you're happy.
Now I'm a happy person.
Seasonal affect disorder syndrome.
Disorder, exactly. Yeah. When days get short and nights get longer, I got sadder. But anyway, Verilux makes every kind of natural spectrum light. But this is the first portable one that I know of, and it's 11 LEDs. It folds up, and what's great about it, and for some reason it's not marked on the box, you can charge it from an AC outlet and then take it anywhere, and it'll run for 4 hours. But in the box is a USB cable. What makes it great is if you're using this on an airplane or something, or hotel where there's no light at the desk, you can actually power it and charge it from the laptop. So as you're working, you're using the lamp. And as I said, the great thing is the list price is $30, and right now it's $14.98, half price.
Is it pretty bright?
It's very brightly. It's 11 full spectrum LEDs. It's not a high-low. It just comes on or off.
And if you have SADS, which means that when we get to the shorter days of the year, we're getting the longer days now, but the shorter days of the year, you miss that sunlight and it kind of depresses you. You would just shine that in your eyes, and then it would be like you're in the sun.
That is one. I don't know if you would do it with this particular thing, but they do make lamps that have a diffuser on it, and the idea was that you would, depending on how bright it was, there was some that you would sit and look at. Actually, what I did is I bought a spotlight that was balanced for sunlight, and I put it in my backyard, and it would go on with a timer, and no matter when I would wake up, it would look like the sun was out.
I bet your neighbors loved that.
Yeah.
Has Dick got a nuclear reactor down there? What's going on?
Yeah. Hey, I had to take a pee at 4 a.m. I'm sorry to wake you up.
What's going on? It's the brightest light I ever saw.
It doesn't make noise. I could have a rooster.
Well, that's cool. So Verilux, Verilux,
Verilux, and it's their rechargeable travel lamp, and it's at verilux.com. That's where you can get it for $14.98 plus shipping.
Dick, we stick around. We're going to do the Daily GizWiz, actually the weekly Daily GizWiz show right after the radio show. But thank you for your clever little gadget. Don't forget Dick's website, gizwiz.biz. He's Mad Magazine's saddest writer and the GizWiz. He joins us every week. Get it? Because you have.
I got it. It's very good.
It was very good. It was subtle. It was a subtle.
You should think of a career in broadcasting.
Maybe not. You should think of something besides a career in broadcasting. Thank you, Dick. We'll talk in a few minutes. Don't go anywhere. Okay. Well, a good day to you. How are you today? Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. It's time to talk about computers, the internet, cell phones, camcorders, MP3 players, home theater, all the, the gadgets, shiny objects, the G-Jaws that are occupying our lives these days. Only this show is about how to use them, make your life better, to change the world, how to choose them, if you haven't bought one, how to abuse them if you want to hack them. And if you're done with it, how to lose it, too. We could do that, too. 8888, Ask Leo's the number. 888-827-5536, toll free from anywhere in the U.S. of A. If you're outside the U.S., you can use Skype out to call because that's a toll-free number. Won't cost you anything. 888-827-5536. Interesting how the this probably hasn't leaked out into the real world, but the tech journalist world is all up in arms over Facebook hiring a big PR firm, Burstyn Marsteller, to slime Google, kind of secretly slime Google. And all the tech journalists are highly affronted. I guess Facebook tried to get place posts on blogs, ghost-written posts on blogs saying, oh, forget privacy concerns with Facebook. It's Google we should all be looking out for, et cetera, et cetera. And this has become the big story about Facebook. And I think it's really kind of a shame because it is not, in my opinion, the big story about Facebook. In fact, Facebook couldn't have timed this better. It's almost a magician's misdirection. Pay no attention to this privacy issue over here. Facebook's been bad. But nobody really cares if Facebook hires a PR firm to slime Google. It almost seems like business as usual, doesn't it? Really. This is why the mainstream press hasn't picked this up, doesn't care. But there is a bigger story, and the tech press is ignoring it. And I'm not going to ignore it. Yeah, okay, so I'll say this. Facebook, bad. Should not hire a public relations firm to slime a competitor. Big deal. It is business as usual. They just got caught. The bigger issue is that for the last, 4 or 5 years, Facebook has been leaking your profile information to all and sundry. I guess that shouldn't be a surprise either. How many times have I said you should treat anything you put on the internet, including Facebook, a place where you are promised privacy, you should treat it as public. I tell my kids this, I tell teenagers this when I speak to them. Treat everything on the internet, including Facebook, as public. Turns out Facebook has had a horrendous bug for years. Facebook's saying, oh, it's no big deal. We have no evidence of a problem, blah, blah, blah. We're going to fix it, even though there's no problem, blah, blah, blah. A horrendous bug that for years has not only been leaking your personal information, everything on your profile page, private pictures, private posts, who your friends are, everything you do on Facebook, not only to the applications that you install on Facebook, that's kind of been known, but the applications inadvertently leak it out to the real world as well. Your token, your Facebook token, the thing that allows them to get access to this information, has been inadvertently being given away, spread. And it's good forever, by the way. There are some tokens that are only good for a couple of hours. That's what Facebook's saying. Oh, no, most tokens are only good for a couple of hours. And yet hundreds of millions are good for forever and are out there. And the only way to protect your privacy going forward from anybody who might have that token is to change your password. Now, Robert in our chat room is saying, I run no applications on Facebook. And a lot of people say that, oh, I don't use Apple. I don't play Farmville. Well, maybe you do. Have you ever authorized an iPhone app to use Facebook, or the iPhone itself to use Facebook? That's an application. If you've ever logged into Facebook through another application for any reason whatsoever, that's exactly how it happens. That counts. So you may think, well, I'm not playing Farmville. But it's any time you authorize Facebook to any third party. That information then allows them and inadvertently them and their partners to see everything on your page. So just so you know. And the only way to fix this is to change your password. Probably a good idea. And I have to think that Facebook, because they're really downplaying this, their defense is, oh, well, that would be a violation of terms of service. Like that's going to stop these guys. Oh, it says right here in the fine print you're not supposed to do that. Yeah, that'll work. That's their defense. Oh, and they're going to fix it. But really what they would like you to do is look over here. See this thing that we did? It was terrible with the public relations firm, and we slimed Google. It is interesting that what they did is they got blog posts to say, oh, forget Facebook privacy issues. What about Google privacy issues? Aren't those worse? And that plays into everybody's fears. Facebook says it wasn't a smear campaign. Well, what was it? But I think that I'm much more concerned about Facebook leaking my information. You know, I deleted my Facebook account about a year ago. And unfortunately, I can't cover Facebook. I can't talk about Facebook without having a Facebook account. But so I'm back on it. But I do treat it as if it's a public blog, a public posting. You probably should too. It's interesting. Both my son and my daughter in the last 2 days realized that people were seeing what was on their Facebook page. Shock. Facebook keeps changing these privacy settings, and so people don't know. My daughter called me yesterday. My son asked 2 days ago, completely independently, how do I make my profile private? They assumed, as I think probably many of you assume, that it is private, that it's just kind of automatically private. It's not. In fact, Facebook really wants it to be more public because the more public it is, the easier it is for them to sell information and make money. You know, their future depends on it being more public. So here's what you do. You go to your Facebook page, you go to the account button. This is what I told my daughter last night on the right. And you go to privacy settings. Privacy settings. Now, Facebook kind of makes it easy because you see where it says sharing on Facebook, they have these big buttons. These settings control who can see what you share. And there's an everyone, friends of friends, friends only, recommended, which is kind of a hybrid, and custom. Now, as a kind of discipline for myself, I chose custom, and I made everything visible to everyone, explicitly, just to remind me there's nothing private. But if you want to be a little more protected, you might click that Friends Only button, but that's not enough. That's not enough, because then you need to go into Customize Settings and look at all of these additional settings. There's tons of them, all of which you might want to consider. My wife wanted a Facebook page so she could check up on our kids. And she said, people keep sending me pictures on Facebook, but I don't want old boyfriends to follow me. I don't want them to find me. So you can go in here, and I did this for her, and customize the settings so that everything is friends only. And then I said, and honey, don't make any friends. No friends. No friends for you. So make everything friends only. If you have friends, only your friends will be able to see it. Now, it's important to remember, though, that applications that you sign up for, you agree to, still have access to all that. And it turns out they can leak that to other parties. So I would still assume, no matter what you set these for, that if you put something on Facebook, if you put something on the internet anywhere, it can be seen or will be seen or has a chance of being seen by friends, family members, teachers, future employers, college boards, and everything else. This is my message to you. If you put it on the internet, it's public. No matter what you do. Good news for people who use the Sony PlayStation Network. They got it up last night, and I think it's still up. They had closed it down due to a huge security breach that released information about millions of users, including perhaps credit card information, to bad guys. We'll never know. They took it down until they could fix it. They did fix it, so it's back up if you're a PlayStation 3 user. Your call's next. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 77 million. I'm actually starting to like this Samsung tab more and more. I like the widescreen, I have to say. Honeycomb is not perfect, but and as you can see, not everything uses the real estate. This is Foursquare, and it just stretches it over to the right with ginormous buttons. I should take a picture. We'll see how all the people in here. Add a photo to this check-in viewable. Yes, add a photo. Use this. Thank you. Huh. Foursquare doesn't seem to like the camera. There we go. There we go. There's the picture. All our nice people. Check in.
Leo, can you see your calls?
Yes, sir.
All right.
It's kind of weird taking a picture with a tablet, isn't it? Leo Laporte, the tech guy. I'm playing with this Samsung Galaxy Tab 10.1. Google handed these out at the Google I/O conference this week in San Francisco. It's a Google developer conference. And Google's trying to encourage people to write applications for not only Google phones, but this new whole category of tablets. They really would love to compete with iPad. And you've heard me say many times that I don't think there's going to be a tablet this year that will compete with iPad 2. iPad and Apple really kind of dominate this market, not just because of the hardware, but because of the rich application ecosystem that Apple has and the kind of the end-to-end setup where you can buy music, buy applications, rent TV and movies, all from the iPad, but also from your computer. You can play it on your Apple TV. I mean, it's all kind of this seamless thing. But I have to say, this is pretty impressive. This is Samsung's latest. It will go on sale June 6th. And same exact pricing as the iPad 2, $499 for a 16-gig Wi-Fi version. Interesting, though, it's a little thinner and a little lighter than the iPad 2. Has better battery life because it's a little bit bigger. Instead of the 1024 by 768 screen, Samsung's made it a wide screen, a 16 by 9 screen at 1280 by 800. So it's actually higher, more pixels, and that extra space means you can put more battery in there. It's a fast processor. It's the NVIDIA Tegra 2, which I think is completely competitive with Apple's A5 processor. A better camera. Apple put a terrible camera in their iPad 2. This has a 3-megapixel camera on the back and around a 2-megapixel camera on the front. Much better than the cameras that Apple put on theirs. Still a little funky, a little weird to take a picture with a tablet, isn't it? It looks like you're holding up a clipboard to take a picture. Nevertheless, really great for editing pictures or messing with pictures. I think the missing piece of these Google tablets, this particular tablet is really, truly, at least with the hardware, superior to the iPad 2, in my opinion. It's the software, and it's the ecosystem. I love Android. You know I'm an Android fan. I use an Android phone. But this honeycomb version of Android designed for tablets, boy, is sure not ready for prime time. Google even admitted that. And they said they're going to release an update to that in the next couple of weeks, 3.1. Also, there are very few applications that take advantage of the real estate. And that's kind of a problem. I mean, if you're going to use a tablet, you want applications, and Apple's done a great job with this, that fill up the tablet screen and use all that real estate to good advantage. There are only, I don't know, maybe a few dozen apps that do that. This is I'm showing, for folks watching at home, I'm showing for those of you watching the radio at home, I'm showing the Kindle app, which does do a nice job. Amazon's smart. They say, well, we'll just put the Kindle everywhere. On every tablet. Google's apps, of course, use the real estate. In fact, the Gmail app's great. The Maps app's great. There are a few others, but most of the apps, including the Facebook app, Foursquare, things like that, they just stretch out. They spread themselves out over the wide screen. It just kind of looks funky. I'm going to stand by what I said, I think. If you're going to buy a tablet, at least for the next 6 months, you're going to buy an iPad 2. You're going to want an iPad 2. But you might watch carefully. And if you're a big Android fan, I would watch carefully the Android space. And I have to say, I'm surprised at how quickly Samsung came up with hardware that is every bit as good as an iPad 2. If Google can upgrade the software sufficiently to make it really, sing, and if app developers start doing tablet apps, which I suspect they will, it's only going to be a few months before this is competitive with Apple. And whether you're an Apple fan or not, that's great news because it means that Apple will be challenged. And I hope they respond by competing instead of litigating. Unfortunately, their response to Samsung's Galaxy phones, the Android phones, was to sue them, saying, you copied us. And, I understand that's when you have a whole building full of lawyers, which Apple does, that's the kind of thing that happens. But I'd sure like to see Apple, instead of saying, you copied us, make something better. Stay ahead. This is a challenge to make something better. Keep making something better. They're doing it on the tablet. They really are. I think you could argue that the Android phones have caught up, however, with the iPhone. They're close enough. I use an Android phone. I'm very happy with it. After long iPhone use. I think it's great. We get the choice is always good, right? We don't want to live in a world where there's only one flavor, vanilla. As much as you might like vanilla, it's nice to have a little chocolate once in a while. Richard in Chicago, Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Richard.
Hi, Leo. Thanks for taking my call. Big fan. Been listening for quite a long time.
Thank you.
I purchased an Android phone, a Thunderbolt.
Yeah, that's a nice phone. That's the Verizon phone, the Thunderbolt. Big 4.3-inch screen.
Yeah, it's real great. Battery is... I haven't had too many problems. They recently pushed an update Verizon the other day, and that seems to have made it worse. I guess they're looking into that.
That's my biggest complaint about almost all of these Android phones. The Apple iPhone, because it doesn't... mostly because it doesn't have a replaceable battery, can put more battery in there. They don't have to package the battery. And so they get more battery life on the iPhones. Not a lot more, but an hour or two more when you're just barely making it through the day as it is, that's enough. And the iPhones do have a little bit more juice. Android, I think also, it strikes me, there are applications on the Android that continue to run and continue to eat battery life. Every once in a while I feel like there's something, because my phone will get hot. And it's like, there's something running. What's going on?
Yeah, my Thunderbolt will do that. Sometimes all of a sudden you'll pick it up and it's warm. Yeah.
Yeah, that's to me, if it's warm, that's battery power being wasted. In any event, what can I do to help you?
A quick question. I have security, like a location app, because I used to. This is actually replacing a Droid X, but that got lost in a cab in New York, and it was undercover.
I hope it's near my Droid X, which also got lost in a cab in New York. I bet there's a whole bunch of Droid X's in a box somewhere.
Yeah, I have a friend in Brooklyn who actually got into a cab, and he said the driver actually tried to offer him a hot phone, I guess.
Yeah. Can you imagine how many phones get left in cabs in New York City?
Yeah, I called the TLC in New York.
No, forget it. No.
Yeah, they could. Yeah, they got all.
Forget it.
Yeah.
The guy, I called them. They said, file a police report. I've lost 2 phones in cabs in New York. And probably a Kindle or 2. I can't even remember. I lose so much. I think I just leave a little trail of electronic goodies behind me.
It was frustrating. Yeah, it was actually a gift from my employer because I was working in New York temporarily, and that made it even worse. But I had a question. The location app I sent, Mobile Defense, I don't know if you've ever heard of it. I was running that on it, and I sent a white command to it, and hopefully
Excellent.
that works.
Isn't that great? Isn't that great? I love that.
Once I knew it was gone, but everything, I had a PIN code on it and everything else. But I was wondering, friends of mine and I have been going back and forth, and I hear you talking about Windows, and of course I run Windows 7, I have antivirus. But do you think you need an antivirus program for an Android device? Some people say it's not necessary as long as you know what you're doing and who you're...
I think all smartphones are the next big target. But right now, there have been problems with Android phones, mostly with malware apps in the marketplace, which are removed quickly and disabled. Let me talk about mobile security when we come back. Also, Scott Wilkinson, home theater guru ahead. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Annie Lennox in the Eurythmics.
Oh, yeah, baby.
Yeah. Hey, that voice, that basso profundo.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, oh, yeah, baby. It's not Barry White. Scott Wilkinson, editor-in-chief of the Ultimate AV Magazine, ultimateavmag.com, and a columnist for the Home Theater Magazine, hometheatermag.com. He's also available to you via email. Scott at techguylabs.com joins us every week to answer questions from our audience. I like this last one that you were talking about. Can an HD TV be as good as your old TV? What?
Yeah, I got this question, and it's very interesting from Dave Butler in San Jose, who asks, can the better LCD, LED, or plasma high-def TVs equal the picture quality of the Sony KD34 XPR 960, which is an old CRT TV?
Was it an HD? It was high-def, okay.
Yeah, it was. And of course, it's no longer made. Hasn't been for years, but it's still revered.
Yes.
And rightly so, because CRT TVs, that old technology that
the big
we've had
tube one, the thing that was that ginormous thing in your house.
A ginormous thing in your house produced stunning picture quality. Really, really good. The blacks were gorgeous, really deep and dark. Shadow detail was excellent. Colors were gorgeous. It's what flat panels are chasing after all these years later. They're still chasing that picture quality.
Is that really?
Yeah. The only one I can say for sure that even came close is the Pioneer Kuro, which you have one, I have one. Those of you who are out there fortunate enough to have gotten one before Pioneer went out of business. Not Pioneer didn't go out of business, but they went out of the TV business. They exited the TV business. And, you know, the remaining stock was out there in the field. And those of you who got one, congratulations, because it was the one flat panel TV that really rivaled CRT. Leo, you got one.
I got one, and
I
do love it, yeah.
You know, but why did they exit the TV business? Because it was too expensive to make that high quality a TV.
Yeah.
And that TV was expensive, as you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
people don't really know the difference.
Well, I suppose a lot of people don't know the difference. Certainly, if you put it right next to each other, you'd notice the difference. But
the vast majority of people couldn't tell.
Well, again, if they had the opportunity to see them next to each other, I think the vast majority of people would be able to tell. But,
okay.
But the vast majority of people don't have that opportunity.
Right.
Now, you might say, well, sure, go to a store and you could put them right next to each other and see them side by side. Well, yes, but as I've said many times, the store environment is not a good place to evaluate the picture quality of a TV. For one thing, there's a ton of lights on. You know, it's a store. It's a giant place with lots of Klieg lights. You know, they want things to be bright and shiny. And so the manufacturers tune their TVs, adjust their TVs so that they look as good as possible in that environment. But that's not the environment most of us live in. So when you buy a TV at a store and you look at this wall o TVs and you say, oh, I like that one because it's the brightest. And they say, fine. And they bring one out from the warehouse and you pay for it. And you take it home. You take it out of the box. You put it on your stand in your room, which doesn't have giant Klieg lights overhead. And you turn it on, and then you have to put on sunglasses because the manufacturers adjust all their TVs to look good in the showroom because they don't know which TV the store is going to grab out of their stock and put on the showroom floor. So they make them all look like that. So that's why I always say, and I've said on this show many times, to go into the menu and go to the picture mode and select movie or cinema, which is going to make it look a lot better in the home environment. But even at that, we don't have yet, except for a few isolated cases like Kuro, flat panels that have really the equal picture quality to the old CRT. The advantage of flat panels, of course, is that they're lightweight, they're thin, they don't take up half the room. So that's really the advantage. And, you know, they're chasing that picture quality. Each year they get a little better and a little better, but generally speaking, they're not quite there yet.
Very good. It's interesting. But that was a very good TV, and it was an HD TV. Most of the TVs that you have watched in the past are not comparable.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
So Terry asks, he notices that there are some speakers that end up, and other kinds of products that have the term reference in their name.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like reference speakers. And he wonders, what exactly does that mean? Is it a standard or is it just hype? And the answer is, well, there's no standard called reference. It really is it really is more hype than anything else. I think manufacturers use this term and they apply it to their flagship product, their very best product. And they say, this is the reference as far as our products are concerned, against which our other products and the products of everybody else, by the way, should be measured or judged. And so the answer really is no, there's no standard called reference, but people use that term to refer to their flagship product, their products that, are the best that they can possibly do and to which everything else needs to get referenced. Let's see. Tom Becker was listening to the podcast last week, my podcast, on which John Iverson was talking about media streaming, and we were talking a little bit about data caps. You've talked about data caps on the show.
Oh, I'm so depressed. It's such a depressing subject. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It is. And more ISPs are imposing these data caps. And John Iverson said that he, as far as he knew, if you exceeded your data cap, that they would start charging you more, just like a cell phone, right? You have a certain number of minutes typically on a cell phone.
Mm-hmm.
And if you exceed that number of minutes, they start charging you an arm and a leg for every additional minute.
No, it's not like that.
Well, in some cases, apparently not, because Tom Becker writes in and says, Comcast disconnects your service.
They warn you a bunch of times, but I do know people who were just cut off. They said, you're a bandwidth hog. We'll talk to you later.
Oh, man.
So, these all, we've talked about this before. These bandwidth caps, for most people, won't impact them yet. But the point is these companies are being proactive about the day when we all start watching our TV over the internet.
Which more and more people are starting to do.
Guess what? Comcast doesn't want you to do that because they try to sell you HBO.
Right.
They make more money selling you HBO than letting you watch HBO over the internet.
Mm-hmm. I wonder if and when they will start selling you HBO over the internet.
Well, they are. HBO has a product called HBO Go, and HBO is kind of cagey. They're kind of smart. Yeah. So they obviously don't want to injure their relationships with the cable companies. They're still dependent on them. So they require you to sign into the HBO app, which is available on Android and iPhone, with your cable company login. So if you're a Comcast customer, you'll sign in with your Xfinity login, guaranteeing, first of all, that you are an HBO subscriber, but also that Comcast gets to, get their little 2 cents in there. They charge, they pay HBO. Anyway, it's a complicated relationship, but they pay HBO for each subscriber. HBO gets its money through Comcast for HBO Go. But I think the day will come. Well, look at Hulu, where you pay $8 a month and you don't have to use the cable company. You use their inexpensive bandwidth instead of their pricey cable connection.
Exactly right.
Scott Wilkinson, editor-in-chief of the Ultimate AV Magazine. Scott at TechGuyLabs.com. And don't forget his podcast, Home Theater Geeks, Mondays, 1:30 Pacific at live.twit.tv. We'll see you next week.
Thank you so much.
Well, a good day to you. Leo Laporte here, the Tech Guy, Hour 3 of the Tech Guy Show, where we talk about computers and technology and all the things that are changing in this little world of ours. 8888 Ask Leo is the phone number if you've got a question or a comment or a suggestion. 888-827-5536. Toll free from anywhere in the U.S. Outside the U.S., you could just use Skype to Skype out. 8888 Ask Leo. The feds were investigating Google, saying Google was profiting from rogue pharmacy ads, illegal out-of-the-country pharmacy ads. Google and other search sites have placed those ads for many years. They started blocking them in early 2010 because it's illegal for U.S. citizens to buy drugs overseas, prescription drugs overseas. You know what drugs we're talking about, those little blue pills. I think that's probably 99% of it. Google, however, when they blocked the international ads in 2010, did make an exception for Canadian pharmacies licensed by the Canadian government. But U.S. authorities still were upset, still investigated, still prosecuted, and Google is expected to have to pay a fine of $500 million. $500 million. Google said in February 2010 that it will only take ads from U.S. pharmacies accredited by the National Association of Boards of Pharmacy, and from online pharmacies in Canada accredited by the Canadian International Pharmacy Association. You know, it's interesting. It is not illegal to go to Canada and get a drug, but you can't import drugs into the U.S. from Canada. Although, according to this article on Wired.com by Ryan Singal, federal officials mostly turn a blind eye to drugs that are imported from Canada and rarely will prosecute individuals. People order drugs from Canada because they're cheaper. It saves money. There is, of course, a risk because you may be ordering drugs from Canada and they may actually come from India or China or some other overseas country where the drugs are not well made or maybe aren't even what you thought you were getting. Google apparently profited from ads, and that's why they're going to pay the $500 million. I have to wonder, though, if this reminds me very much of the online poker site ban of a few weeks ago, where U.S. interests don't like the fact that money from Americans is going to overseas gambling. They want to keep it in the U.S., and so they lobby law enforcement to basically protect their interests. Is law enforcement really interested in protecting our health, or are they more interested in protecting U.S. pharma? $500 million. Where does that money go? $500 million. The FDA and Rhode Island's Attorney General. That's where the money goes. Have you ever ordered drugs online from Canada? A Canadian pharmacy, a legitimate Canadian pharmacy? Because they're cheaper? Should that be illegal? It is. 8888 Ask Leo. Vicky is in Rialto, California. Our next caller. Hi, Vicky. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Howdy, how are you?
I'm very well. How are you?
I'm doing great.
What can I do for you?
Well, I am going to be going on an Alaskan cruise in a couple of weeks, and I ordered a camera online, and I'll be getting it in a couple of days.
Woohoo! How exciting!
Yes, I am so excited. The last time I talked to you, I was ordering a camera about 7 years ago, so it's
wow.
time for another.
It's time for a new one. I helped you buy the last one, huh?
Right. So anyhow, I bought a Nikon Coolpix S9100, which is the new camera that came out with the 18x zoom lens.
Yeah.
And I need to buy some memory for it, and I really don't know what I'm doing. It says it takes a SD, SDHC,
right.
SDXC, and then there's ratings of them and this and that, and it only has an internal memory of 74 megabytes. So
you have to buy a card. And nowadays the cameras don't come with memory, or if they do, it's a very small amount. You want to get at least 4 gigs. You probably will end up getting 8, 16, maybe even 32. I don't like getting cards that are too big because if a card fails, that means, if you have a 32 gig card and you have thousands of photos on that card and then it fails, you're going to be very unhappy.
Right.
So a smaller card kind of makes you offload them. Pardon me?
2/8 or something like that.
Yeah, 2/8 would be good. That's exactly. Most pros will have 4 or 5 cards because the last thing, you're out there looking at a glacier and you can't get back to the cruise and you don't want to, the penguins come out and you have 4 pictures left, you're not going to be happy.
That's right.
It's always nice. But I don't know how big those images are on the P1000, but I suspect that a 4 gig card will give you hundreds of images. An 8 gig card,
12 megapixel, but I probably won't do it at that because I don't think I need that. I don't ever print anything that's 20 by 30 or, like that.
Oh, and I would take it at the highest resolution. Storage is cheap. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Storage is cheap.
Cards from my other camera, 2 gig ones that I could, they're so small, you can just put them in. But what's the best kind? SD, SDHC?
Well, all the HC means is high capacity. So anything over 2 gigs is an SDHC. So you will be getting an HDSHC. Then they come in classes, class 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. And each class is faster at reading and writing, but also much more expensive. A class 10 card is a lot more expensive than a class 6 card. I would look in the manual or in the specs for that P100 or P1000. I suspect class 6 is plenty. You probably don't need much faster.
Okay, well, it says that you should have a rating of 6 or faster recommended for recording movies because it does a 1080
Right.
for
The high-quality movies, of course, are saving more data faster to the card. So a faster card, excuse me, for most video, you do want a faster card. You might even want 10x for video. But it's interesting. They say 6 or higher. So that means their minimum is 6. And I would say 6 is fine.
Okay, and then the SDHC, is that?
That's what you're going to get. You don't have really much choice because it just means you have more storage.
Okay, but I should get smaller increments so I can pop one in then. And is there any particular brand? I mean, SanDisk, Toshiba, Panasonic, Lexar. There's, I'm going.
I usually get SanDisk. They're all fine. Kensington, SanDisk. They're all fine. I usually get Kensington or SanDisk. The pros spend a lot more money. They get Lexar. Because Lexar cards tend to be. In fact, there's another brand I can't even remember. It's a funky brand. I don't even remember the name. That I was told just the other day. We do a photography show by one of our pros that I will only buy this brand. I just I I think SanDisk is fine. I think I buy a lot of Transcend cards, PNY. The problem is that sometimes these cards fail, and so the pros are willing to spend a lot more money. Hey, they're taking pictures of weddings and stuff. You don't want to lose. You don't want to lose the picture of the bride. That would be very embarrassing. But I think SanDisk, Kingston, or if Lexar, and I would look at the prices. I think that you're going to be able to get a Class 6 or faster card for not a whole lot of money.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then I had a question. But I did a bunch of research. I had a spreadsheet on all the cameras I wanted and kind of limited, went down, and then I got an excellent price on this camera, nearly half price. So
good job.
And, I mean, it was, I could hardly, believe. I kept looking, and then the next day after I bought it, that price was back up to normal. So I thought,
good
my God.
job. Yeah.
Finally, I did something right. Now, I'm, want to have extra batteries because I'll be wandering around Alaska and part of Canada.
Hold on a sec. We're going to take a break. Come back. Hoodman. That's right. That was the name. Thank you, Hudson. Hoodman was the very expensive cards. Never heard of that. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hey, Leo, you have a Carbonite live read whenever you have some time.
Yes, sir. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Vicky's going to Alaska. She's got a great new Nikon camera. She's getting her SD cards. And one of the things I want to kind of underscore this is I recommend it is not getting too big of a card, because the temptation then would be to fill it up before you offload it, which means if the card dies, and flash cards do die, sometimes just randomly, just like any hard drive, you'll lose more photos.
Just invest in some 4s.
Well, 4s or 8s. I mean, it's a balance between convenience and risk.
Yeah.
If truth is, if you have 4 or 8, you're probably not going to fill up that card. I would recommend, whether you fill it or not, every night offloading.
Okay.
And so what I did on the last cruise, I was on a long cruise. I was gone for 3 weeks. So I took something like 6,000 photos in that time.
Holy mackerel.
Holy mackerel. I'm a little I overdo it. But it's digital. So who cares? And by the way, I shoot the full size. I don't compromise because storage is cheap. So what I did is I brought a laptop and 2 external hard drives, not 1 but 2 external USB drives. And religiously, well, I had to because I forgot, and I only brought 1 memory card with me. I only had 1 16-gig card. I left all the rest at home. Oh! So I was forced to every night, but I think I would have done it anyway, offload that card. So I'd copy that card over to one of the hard drives. I'd import it into Lightroom so I could work with it, but I'd keep a copy on that hard drive, and then at every night I would synchronize drive 1 with drive 2. So now I have 2 copies. I didn't keep a copy on my laptop. If you keep a copy on your laptop, if there's enough room on the hard drive, 3 copies, and then I would pack each drive in a separate, 1 for carry-on and 1 for checked luggage.
Good idea.
Yeah. Now on the cruises, you don't have a lot of bandwidth, so another good solution would be use Carbonite or something to upload those pictures. But you don't on a cruise. You don't have that luxury. So that's why I always bring extra storage.
Yeah, I have a little netbook that I don't have anything on. It's got 160 gig.
Perfect.
Yeah, that would be great. Now, I know that batteries don't last forever, and I would hate to, like I should say, have it go bad when something.
I always have a second battery.
Now, I'm looking at I'll ask you. The Nikon batteries are really pricey, but I find other ones between Amazon and eBay and that.
Get the Nikon battery.
Get the Nikon, okay.
The reason being, there are good third-party batteries, but there are also bad third-party batteries, and a badly made lithium-ion battery can blow up.
Okay, wow.
It's not worth it.
I just looked at the reviews, and if it gets like a 5-star review, I figure that must be pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, try to figure out who made it and if it's a reliable company. I know the Nikon batteries are more expensive. I know. Sometimes the cheap batteries, they leave out critical circuitry that keeps it from overcharging. An overcharged lithium-ion battery is basically a bomb.
Wow.
So just be really careful.
Okay, and then this is just a curious question now, since I have to get a Nikon. It says 1050 mAh. I see some that say for the same camera 900, some say 1100 and 1400. Just that they're available and it'll work in the
more
camera.
is better, of course.
But if it comes with a 1050, can that be exceeded?
Yes. It's it's storage capacity, not the amount of power coming out of it. It will always be the same voltage coming out of it, but it's how much capacity the batteries have in milliamp hours. And a larger number means you can go longer between charges.
Okay.
So, but I always buy brand name batteries because you could lose the camera.
Yeah, and me too.
And you could have a fire in the room. I found cruise ships don't really like it very much if you have a fire in your room. They seem to really frown on that.
Yeah. I guess you'll be on there. No.
Yeah, you won't be going back. We were lucky. I was on a cruise, a geek cruise with Steve Wozniak, and he got invited up to the bridge, and I saw the fire suppression system that they have. This was on a Holland America cruise. Amazing fire suppression, and they have in every room. They have not just a smoke detector, but a heat detector, and they can pinpoint exactly if there is any problem in any room, exactly where that room is. An annunciator on the bridge goes off. They have very highly trained fire teams because, as you can imagine, a ship at sea, a fire is deadly. They cannot allow it to happen. So if you had a little battery mishap in your room, you'd come back and everything would be soaked in chemicals and water, and there'd be a couple of very unhappy crew members with axes waiting for you. You definitely do not want a battery explosion on a cruise ship. It's not worth it. It really isn't. Get a good battery, and I say get the Nikon battery. I know there are some, they're legitimate companies. Truth is, the Nikon battery is probably made by the same company that makes one of those third-party batteries. The problem is you don't know which one, and you could get the bad one. John in Santa Ana, Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, John.
Hi, Leo. Thanks for taking the call.
Sure. So you want to get some movies on your iPad, huh?
Yes.
So it's a two-step process. The first thing you do is get the movie off the DVD onto a computer. You got to rip it.
Great. I have Handbrake, which is...
Handbrake's the one I recommend. In fact, it has an iPad setting. In order for Handbrake to rip the DVD, though, you have to have another program that's free also called VLC, the Video LAN client from videolan.org. I'll put that in the show notes at Tech Guy Labs. You install both of those, rip it, compress it for iPad, copy it on. Works great. Super PC in Virginia. Hi, Super PC. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hey, Leo. I thought I wasn't going to get picked up there for a second.
You made it. I know you were on hold yesterday, too, so I'm glad you made it.
So, anyways, Leo, I have an Airport Extreme router right now, which we recently got. And we recently also got, kind of a shed. And sometimes I go out there for my laptop to use it. But the problem is I can't pick up any signal very good in the shed. I pick up only 2 bars, and it's very, very slow. It's slow.
So there's a technology called WDS, Wireless Distribution System, that is actually a standard designed to extend a Wi-Fi access point. WDS is supported by most routers. It's absolutely supported by Apple's Airport Extreme, but you need to buy another, it's like a repeater, another router that you will put halfway between the shed and your Airport Extreme, and it kind of boosts the signal. And as long as it can get a good signal from the Extreme, then it repeats it, and you'll get a full power out to the shed. The Airport Express does this. It's about $99. It's a great little device. If you're on Linksys makes them. It's usually a good idea to get the repeater made by the same company that made the wireless access point, only because WDS is kind of ill-defined, and so the implementations vary. For compatibility reasons, get it from the same company that made your original router. So the Airport Extreme works very well.
I'm going to ask you a few more things about that. First of all, I'll just give you this. The shed's about 65 feet from my house. I actually measured it.
That's fine.
And also, Airport Extreme, like, where is the antenna on it? Where would be the best place to put it near the wall so I can get a signal out from there?
It's internal. You just rotate it around a little bit. But it's not so much pointing the antenna, because it's an omnidirectional antenna. It's getting it away from, what will stop Wi-Fi is a metal mesh. A screen, a window screen, bad. Sometimes walls have metal mesh in the walls, especially if it's a lath and plaster wall. There'll be metal mesh to hold the plaster. Bad. It's what we call a Faraday cage. It actually kills the radio frequency. So you got to just try moving it around. How far from the Airport Extreme to the shed?
Probably about 66 or 67
See, that's within the range. Wi-Fi should go around 150 feet. So I think it's interference from the wall. Put it by a window. If the window doesn't have a metal screen in it, put it by a window. That helps. It doesn't go through, walls as well as it goes through air. In fact, really, technically, Wi-Fi is line of sight. It's because it's at 2.4 gigahertz. That's a microwave radiation which bounces off of things. So technically, it's best if it's line of sight. So aim it at the shed. And I'll tell you, if you're already at the edge of the house, there's nowhere you could put an Airport Express to extend it. So that's not going to solve it. But if the Airport Extreme isn't as close to the shed as it can get, then you could put an Airport Express in between the two. That might help. It sounds like it's right at the window, though, which, of course, you can't extend it. But that's built into the airport software that Apple provides, by the way, WDS. It even calls it WDS. It says, with the setup, I want to extend the range of a Wi-Fi access point. And it's very straightforward. Just click, click, click. Make sure, that's a good point. Locke's saying in our chat room, make sure you're in N mode on your Airport Extreme. N goes much farther than B or G. It's good to talk to you, Super PC. Thanks for the call. Thank you all for watching. Don't forget, we put all the information about everything I talk about, thanks to James DeRuvo. We put it on the website. It's called techguylabs.com. Techguylabs.com. Thanks to Luis Oliveira, who's running the board. Gina Savati on the phones today. Did a great job. Thanks to you all for being here.
Thanks, Leo.
Yeah, welcome, Luis.
Thanks, Leo.
And you're welcome, Gina. And they're talking to me. You can't hear, but they're talking to me. Or either that, I'm hearing voices, which is possible. Again, techguylabs.com is the website. And while you're there, check out our podcasts. We do about 20 all week long on the TWiT network. That's the name of my podcast network. There's information there, too, about buying a brick for the Wall of Honor on our new studio. I'm going to have everybody's name up there in the new studio. techguylabs.com. I'm Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. Thanks for being here. I'll see you next time. Have a great Geek Week.